Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I did a little experiment for the last 2 weeks or so where I took the Dabbsson Solar Generator and its 2 external batteries. Do you all remember the Dabbsson that I reviewed here not too long ago? It's this right here. You can see the Dabbsson right here. It comes with 2 external batteries. It gives you a total of 8,300 watt hours. Well, I wanted to see if I can run the things in my house that I would need that would be critical during a grid down situation, like your refrigerator, your freezer, your hot water heater, so that maybe you can take a shower every once in a while, right? Which is not priority during a grid down. But things that are essential are lights, if you have a CPAP, you know, small things like that that will keep your household running. I wanted to see how long could my household run during a grid down situation with just the sun. So I ran my house only off of the power that we got from the sun going through the Dabbsson Solar Generator. Now the Dabbsson is actually a good solar generator to use for this purpose because it has an input capacity of 3,000 watts solar. And what that means is it has 5 XT60 ports that each take a maximum of 600 watts for a total of 3,000 watts solar, if you have the solar panels, that is. So I just want to show you these solar panels because they are very, very sturdy solar panels. Karma, stop it. Stop it. Sit. Okay, good girl. I would say that they probably weigh at least a good 20-25 pounds each, but they're very sturdy, all right? They are waterproof, so you can leave them outside all the time. They are dust proof. And let me show you the wiring in the back because the wiring is very, very hardy as well. And let me tell you a story about that while I'm showing you the wiring. So in the summertime, I hook up a few solar panels outside so that I can at least power my freezer, right, in my side room throughout the summer, and it not really cost me anything. And it's working great. But this year I decided to put like 1,000 watts of solar hooked up to the solar generator that's powering my freezer right now. And the solar generator that I'm using is working just fine. However, the wiring that I had to use were kind of like extension cords or extensions for the wiring, for 8mm wiring. And they were not 10 gauge wire. And I had a couple of them actually burn up because I was pulling in so much energy from the sun that it was too much for those wires. So you got to be careful. Make sure that you use the right wiring whenever you're hooking up your solar panels. And you can see that these right here, of course, they come with MC4 connectors, which is, in my opinion, the garden variety connectors for the solar industry, and it looks like they're very good quality. You can see that they have a little shrink wrap right here to make sure that these don't get frayed. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put 4 of these solar panels in the roof or on the roof of our chicken coop, and then I'm going to put 4 other solar panels somewhere else, and I'll show you that here when I get to it. Now that we have the 4 solar panels on the roof of the chicken coop, I wanted to have some solar panels as well that I can move around to get the best sun exposure throughout the day, just in case the ones on the roof of the chicken coop did not get as much sun due to the trees and the positioning of the sun throughout the day. I built a couple of these stands made from 1/2-inch sheet of plywood held up by a hinged piece of wood on the rear. This way I can position these wherever the sun is the most prevalent throughout the day. I decided to cover the plywood with plastic, as you can see here, in order to make them just a little bit waterproof. Right now I'm in the left wing of the house, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you what I did. I went ahead and wired in a couple of outlets. So these 2 outlets, believe it or not, do not do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. But what I did was I went out and bought a couple of 15 amp, 1.5 amp extension cords, and I wired them in to these 2 outlets. So each of these outlets under the house has 1 extension cord that's going to be able to plug into the solar generator and power anything that I put into here. So right now it's 7:01 in the morning, Friday the 7th of July. Let's go under the house and see how I set up our system down there. This is what it looks like under my house where I set up my Dabbsson power station. And as you can see that they are all hooked up and they are actually on right now. So right now you can see that they're at about 98%. This battery right here is showing 100%. but the other 2 units are 98%, and they are all hooked up and ready to go. And I actually ended up downloading the app for this station because I'm hoping that it will work in the house while this is running down here, and I can actually check what's going on, how much power there's left, and all that kind of stuff from upstairs in the house while this is running down here. These are the 2 electrical cords that I told you that I went ahead and wired in upstairs to those 2 receptacles. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand this. Like I said, don't do what I do, do your own research, all right? What I'm doing, I know works because I understand the fundamentals, just the basic fundamentals of electricity. Whenever your house is wired, all you're doing by wiring your house is you're putting an extension cord from the breaker box, right, all the way to the outlet that you want it. It's an extension cord, it's what it is. And these extension cords here, they are rated for 15 amps, and I'm not going to be running more than 15 amps per electrical outlet out there that you saw me install, right? And actually, I'll be running a lot less than that. Like I said, on one outlet, I'm only going to be running the refrigerator and the freezer. The other outlet, I'll be running what I'm going to use to mimic my light use for the day, which will be my entertainment center for a couple hours a day, and then my water heater whenever I need it. So I'm never going to put more stress on these wires here than what they are rated for. But anyways, let me show you the app because it is actually pretty cool app. So you can see right now it's showing that at its current use with the inverter on, we have 212 hours 39 minutes of use left. Obviously that's going to go down as we use it, and it'll be nice to keep track of it with this app while I'm upstairs. And input, there should be 0 input. You can see 0 input. And now let me show you the settings over here, ladies and gentlemen, because this is pretty cool. So check this out. One of the things that I like about this app, which I'm not big on apps, but I did it for this one for this purpose, is that the AC charging speed, you can change it. So if we go and click on there or press on there, we can bring our AC charging speed all the way up to 1800 watts of input. So we can change the AC charging speed to whatever you want it, all the way down, all the way down to 200. Right? It doesn't really matter what the AC charging speed is right now, because this is the first part of this experiment where we're going to try and see what we can do just with solar. The second part of the experiment, we will need that AC charging speed all the way to 1800. Right? And we can actually confirm that now. And you hear a beep, now it's set. Check it out. 1800. Okay, now this is very important. Right here where it says screen timeout, that doesn't matter that much. I put it at 5 minutes, but you can change it to whatever you want. Okay? And the DC timeout means that if you turn on your DC power, right, like your USBs and such, if you turn those on and they are not in use for up to 2 hours, that function will turn off, and you'll have to either turn it back on through the app or turn it back on manually. The one that's really important, ladies and gentlemen, since I'm going to be running this down here and not where I'm going to be able to see it all the time except through my app, is this AC timeout. So with the AC timeout, I had it set at 12 hours, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change it to never. That means that that AC will be on all the time. It will never turn off, and that's what I'm going to be using primarily from this unit is the AC. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy that we are back in the house and this is still connected via Bluetooth. So that's great that this is still connected. Let's go ahead and plug in our freezer first and see what happens. But let's go ahead and be on here to make sure that we can capture it. So right here is showing output. And I did forget to show you that you can turn on the AC or the DC from here as well. So let's look. The AC is already on. See that? We just turned it off, but now we can turn it right back on. And we just turned it back on. You can do the same thing with the DC, with the USB and all that stuff. But let's go ahead and hook up our freezer first. Here goes the freezer. And like I said, I have my AC turned off. I'm going to turn it on once I have them both plugged in. And here goes my refrigerator. All right, now let's go turn it on and see if it's even using any energy right now. Let's go to the freezer and see if it's on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this here's my my freezer is on. So the light is on at least, which I'm assuming everything else is on. And right now it shows that we are using 118 watts. One of the things that I don't really care for too much about the Dabbsson and the way that they set this up is that they set it up to where the main unit runs out of power before the external batteries. I would rather had it to where the main unit used the power from the external batteries and ran out of power last. But it's going to be fine, because as long as you have enough solar or enough connections, you can actually charge the external batteries separately than you can from the main unit. And we are going to be doing that with our solar as soon as we get good sun outside. All right, so now it looks like the refrigerator and the freezer are both pulling off of it, but the hot water heater is not pulling anything just yet. We got to get rid of a little more hot water, which it shouldn't take too long because, like I said, it's an 18-gallon hot water heater. We're pulling 1,558 watts from there. So this unit so far is giving us plenty of energy to charge what we need to charge in order to keep our household operational during a total grid down situation. And as you can see over here, well we're at 1,558 watts being pulled right now. And that's kind of a waste too, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm not even taking a shower yet. I've got work to do outside, and I'll be taking a shower after I'm done working out. So I'm going to have to use this again. But if we keep pulling that 1,550 watts or so, we've only got about 3.5 hours left of power. We are only about 4 hours after we started pulling power out of the Dabbsson, and it's already down a few percentage points, as you can see here, at about 88%. And being that it's 11 o'clock in the morning or so, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting pretty lousy solar. You can see that we've got an input of 97 watts of solar into the main unit. And here we are at 4:18 a.m. the next morning, so the 8th of July. You can see we are at 63% on the main unit. Hopefully today we're going to be getting a little bit better solar. But the solar panels that are on top of the roof of the chicken coop are doing a lot better. One of them is bringing in 85 watts and the other one is bringing in 76 watts. Not great for especially two pairs of two solar panels, which should be giving us upwards of 300 plus watts. But again, for 4 o'clock in the morning, that's not bad, bringing in around 150 watts or so. For the first part of the day, I'm plugged into this set of solar panels right here. And then during the evening time, when the sun is in that direction right there, I go ahead and use this set right here. And this is what a good day of solar looks like, ladies and gentlemen. If I were to get solar like this all the time, I'd be able to run pretty much my whole house on nothing but solar, but that's wishful thinking. Here you can see that our main unit, which runs off of one of those sets of solar panels that I've got installed on top of plywood, is only bringing in 139 watts, which is not terrible. That right there, 139 watts, if I had that 24 hours a day, it would run my refrigerator and my freezer together. But take a look at the solar panels that are on top of the chicken coop. One set of those solar panels is bringing in 471 watts and the other set is bringing in 521 watts. Now this, in my opinion, is very good solar and would allow you to do pretty much anything you wanted to do in the house, with the exception of running that water heater all day long and or running a clothes dryer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that I can bore you to death, if I haven't done so already, by showing you 1,000 clips of every 2 or 3 hours, showing you what percentage the Dabbsson was on, how much sun we had on this time and that time. But I'll just tell you what the outcome was. We started this at 7 a.m., around 7:06, I think it was, a.m. on the 7th of July. And by the time that we got to 8:05 a.m. on the 16th of July, so roughly 9 full days, our system was down to 4% on the main unit, and I think it was about 18 or 19% on the external batteries. So this is it. The experiment is over. We were able to go a full 9 days using nothing but the sun to feed our solar generator, therefore feeding our electrical needs in our house. Now remember, this was just an experiment as to what I would be able to feed during a grid down situation, which would be those things that are critical in order for your household to continue to run. Lights, refrigerator, freezer, CPAP if you have one, your Wi-Fi, etc. Right? And it worked pretty well, 9 whole days. And that's why I say that a gasoline generator complements a solar generator and vice versa. And now the next part of this experiment is going to be how much gasoline does it take to power your house if you use a gasoline generator to power your solar generator in the case that you run out of sunlight. But you can see that our gasoline is probably about half an inch from the top. I probably put a little too much in it, but it'll be okay as long as it has room to vent. So when we go to fill it back up, we're going to make sure that we fill it back up to this level right here. That'll give us a good estimation as to how much gasoline we used. This is a 15 amp rated cord, so it should handle 1800 watts with no problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's literally been probably about a minute and a half since I plugged it in. And here you can see that it's 8:27 a.m. Okay, and let's say we started at 8:25. That's pretty safe. Or 8:30 is fine. And you can see here that we've got 1150 watts coming in. That's the main, and then 325 and 236 going into the external batteries. Although I do believe that these numbers come out of this main number here. So you see that now we're at 1800. So it's jumping around, you know, from 1800 to 1300 to 1500. I don't really like that, but let's see what happens. All right, I'm going to monitor this for the next few hours. It's definitely going to take at least 4 hours in order to fill this up. So we'll just see what happens. The generator just ran out of gasoline after about 3.5 hours, but the solar generator is not full yet. Right now it's between 65 and 70%. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it back up with gasoline all the way up to the top. This generator's gasoline tank takes 0.95 gallons. All right, so we'll remember that. I'll jot that down on a piece of paper, noting that we've gone through 0.95 gallons of gasoline so far, and then we'll measure the rest after it's done filling up the solar generator. Hopefully it won't take another 0.95 gallons, but we probably have about another hour and a half, 2 hours of charging. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. All right, here we go. You can see that it's filled all the way up to the top again, and I made a little bit of a mess, but I'm going to go ahead and move this generator to another location because I spilt a little bit on the ground, or on this floor here. So we're going to go ahead and start it back up, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll fill you in once the generator is full. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we can still hear the generator running, but I just wanted to show you that we just got to 100% on our main unit, and we are at 100% also on our 2 external batteries. And we're actually going through UPS right now because either the refrigerator or the freezer is running. So you can check, this is the external battery. One of them is at 100. Here's our main unit at 100. And here's our other external battery at 100. All right, so we've got our generator here. Let's go ahead and open up the gas can. And what we're going to do is, oh, look at that. It looks like it's about half full. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pour gasoline in this cup. We are going to weigh it, see how many ounces goes inside of our generator, and then we'll tally it up with what we've already used. Okay, that's fine. It's on ounces. It's all zeroed out. Here is our cup that we've got some gasoline in. I don't know that you guys can see this very well. You'll have to trust me. Right now it's showing 23.25 ounces. 23.25 ounces. So now let's go ahead and pour this gasoline inside the gas tank. So it looks like we need more. Let's go ahead and pour some more in there. I moved it over here because there's less sun. Let's see what this is. So this one is 26.7. So 23.25 and 26.7. And that's 21.5. And as you can see, we didn't use all of that to fill it up to the top. So that was 21.5 minus 6.5, so that's 15 ounces. So altogether we've got 15 ounces plus, I forgot the numbers for the first two, but I'll add those up when I look back at this video. We are about 40 hours into this experiment, and what I'm going to do to finish it off is I'm going to go ahead and put an entire tank of gas into our solar generator, meaning that we're going to run our gas generator for an entire tank to try to put as much energy into this solar generator as we can. Now you can see here that it's not completely empty. I think we're at about 38 or so percent on the external batteries and about 11% on the main battery, but I don't think that one full tank of gas in the gas generator will fill this up. And then we'll see about how much gas we'll need going forward if we were to continue this experiment like on a weekly basis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just to show you that the gas is still up to the tippy top. And I actually had to put a couple of ounces in there because I left the vent on while it wasn't running for the last 40 hours or so. And when that happens, it evaporates. So we probably lost a couple of ounces of gas from inside the tank. But let's go and start it up. Let's see how easy it starts after a day and a half or so. Yeah. Started right up. All right, we're under the house. Here is our main unit, and it's showing 900 watts, 1,000. It's still warming up. So it's at 1,000 right now, 1,100. And then from this unit, we feed the external batteries, and this is one external batteries, and it's pulling 300. And this here is the other one, and it's pulling 300 and change as well. But you can see right now we are back up to 1,500. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it just ran out of gas, and it's about 10 minutes after 10 a.m. I'm not going to refill it. I'm going to go ahead and end the experiment once we run out of power completely, or we're down to like 5%. I just happened to be outside. I was putting a flag on the chicken coop when it ran out. So for 0.95 gallons of gasoline, we got this up to 81%. And we got the external batteries up to 75% roughly each. I'll go ahead and do the calculations and leave it up on the screen on exactly how many watt hours we were able to get out of 0.95 gallons of gasoline and using it to charge the solar generator. Now you have to remember also that while that gasoline is charging the solar generator, the actual gasoline generator is also taking energy from that generator that's using the gasoline, because it's using the UPS function and bypassing the battery power. All right, so we have to remember that too, but I think this is a pretty good gauge. Let's see how long this is going to last us. This is what's really going to gauge as to how much it will take to power your essentials for a full week using a solar generator powered by a gasoline generator. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2:13 in the p.m. and the solar generator ran out completely. I let it run out completely to the point where it will not even connect. I'm going to have to put some juice into it so that it can connect, but everything is off. I went ahead and disconnected my refrigerator and freezer and put it back on grid power. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am very impressed, mainly with the results that we got using gasoline. Yes, we were able to keep up with solar for about 9 days or so. However, solar is very unpredictable. Sure, there are some places where you can guarantee that you're going to get solar almost every day of the year, right? But even then, what happens if we have a volcanic eruption? Or what happens if the government gets its way and is able to put particulates in the atmosphere that actually shade the earth from the sunlight, etc., etc.? So I like the idea of being able to power the solar generator with a gas generator, but very efficiently. Now listen to these numbers. We ran our solar generator off of our gas generator from about 8:30 a.m. on the 16th of July to 2:10 p.m. on the 19th of July for a total of about 77 hours and 40 minutes. So we can call it 77 hours or so. All right. And we used a total of 2.4 gallons of gasoline. right? So if you take the 2.4 gallons and convert it into ounces, it comes out to be about 306 ounces of gasoline. If you divide that by the 77 hours, we're only using on average about 4 ounces of gasoline per hour to power everything that we need to power. That turns out to be about 3/4 of a gallon of gasoline per day at a price of roughly $3 of gasoline per day if we're using about $4 a gallon average. So you're being able to power everything that you need in your house that's essential for you to be able to continue to live a good standard of living, meaning that your food is not spoiling, that if you have medicine that needs to be kept cool, it's kept cool, that you can keep your fans running, your lights running, etc. for about $3 a day, ladies and gentlemen, during the apocalypse. You cannot beat that. So I think that that is a great return on what you're spending for gasoline. So if we're looking at about $3 of gasoline per day, it means that you're spending about 20 bucks a week on gasoline. So what does this teach me? It teaches me that I want to keep about a good 30 gallons of gasoline set aside just so that I can have a backup in case the sun is not working. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. The sun's always going to work. But in case that you're not getting optimal solar, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I hope that you got something out of this. I think that for this to work the best, you have to have a very large solar array. That way it will compensate from when you're not getting that much sun, because even during the days that it was kind of cloudy outside, we were still getting some wattage from the sun. It's just not that much. So the bigger the solar array that you have, the better. All right, so multiply your solar panels as much as you can and try to and of course, you want to have a gas generator that is efficient as well. That little Honda gas generator that I have is very efficient. It's pretty much the same as the other two that I have, the Yamaha and the Furman. Oh, and also the smart generator from EcoFlow. So let me go ahead and finish this off because this video is probably going on way too long and most of you are probably napping by now. All right, so let me say thank you very much for Dabbsson. Let me say thank you very much to Dabbsson for sending me the solar panels and the solar generator that I've already reviewed. If you want to see the review of the solar generator, just take a look at the card up above on your right hand corner, and that's where I review it. All right, so thank you very much, Dabbsson. I truly do appreciate you sending me this, and I think this was a great experiment that at least lets people know that it is just as important to have a gasoline generator than it is to have a solar generator. But both of them complement each other greatly. This wasn't really a review video about the Dabbsson. It was just to see how solar would work running your critical components in a household during a grid down. So it wasn't necessarily like a sponsored video, but I do want to talk about the Dabbsson because I think it's a pretty good solar generator. One thing that I would change about it would be that I would give it a little bit of a bigger inverter. That would be very nice. If instead it had like a 2200 watt continuous inverter, that it had a 3000 watt continuous inverter. That would be very nice if it could do that. One other thing, and the only other thing that I can think off the top of my head that I would change, is that I would have it programmed so that the external batteries run out of power first before the main unit runs out of power. That way, if you're in a location, if you have your solar generator set up positioned in a location in your house or wherever it may be where you cannot get that solar wire to it, that you have the option to take one of the batteries and take it outside and have it charged via solar or however you're going to charge it. But some of the things that I do like about the Dabbsson Solar Generator is, let's take a look. It's UPS, of course. It charges very fast. I really like the app, believe it or not. I'm not an app person, but I really like that in the app you can change all of these things, like especially the input of your AC charging. You can change. I really like that it will take up to 3000 watt input in solar. I think it's great that the external batteries are able to be independently charged, meaning that they do not have to be hooked up to the main unit to take a charge, that they can be charged independently. I think that is a big deal. I like that it has a state-of-the-art battery system in it. The battery that comes with it is rated, I believe it's about 4,000 cycles, recharge cycles. And one of the reasons this is because it's one of those EV batteries. It's a solid state EV battery, so it lasts longer, but the big thing is it's a lot safer. They champion that it's a solid state LiFePO4 battery, and here if you go to their site you can see an example of what happens when those batteries get punctured. So here in a solid state battery, which is kind of like the new things that EVs obviously use but the solar generators are using as well, they do a test where they puncture it and you see what happens. And in a solid state battery it's a lot safer than a LiFePO battery, but a LiFePO battery, I'm not taking away from a LiFePO battery, is still a very safe battery. All right, so if you have a solar generator that has a LiFePO battery, there's nothing wrong with it. You can see that I have my solar generators in the background. They're all indoors. I have no problem keeping them indoors, and I always have. And I recommend that you keep them indoors because LiFePO batteries, I don't think, do very well in really cold environment. All in all, I think this is a solid, and look at that, it is 4,500, not 4,000, 4,500 charge recharge cycles. So that is a great battery that it has. And a solar generator, the thing that you want to look for mainly is the battery. Does it have a battery that's going to last? And then how many cycle charges are you going to be able to use it for? And does it have a great inverter, right? And the price. And I think that right now they have a pretty good deal on the price where they're selling just the main unit for $1,400. That is not the very best. It comes out to about 60 cents per watt hour, but 60 cents is very respectable in the solar generator industry. So 60 cents per watt hour, the normal price on this is like $1,800. So I think this is a really good price. And the thing is too, the external batteries are a really good price. They come out to like less than 50 cents per watt hours. So I'm not going to rant on about this, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, Dabbsson didn't ask me to talk about the solar generator that I use. It just happens to be that it's the solar generator that I have that's the biggest one in capacity for energy. So that's the one that I wanted to use to conduct this experiment. But I do want to give Dabbsson props, all right? And also I want to thank them for initially sending me this unit and the solar panels. And if you want to see the review of the Dabbsson Solar Generator, take a look at your upper right hand corner where there is a video that you can check out where I reviewed this unit. All right, so again, thank you very much, Dabbsson, for sending me this unit and the solar panels. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of this. Having said that, God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.